I never know when I'm going to wake up thinking, feeling philosophical. And with July 4th upon us, I kind of feel like just having a conversation with you about, surprise, surprise, independence. Not just necessarily Independence Day, but independence. So today, the real story is I woke up thinking what it really means individually, family-wise, culturally, to be independent. And I was wondering if I think about it enough, if I appreciate it, can I even really define it? And the big question, I guess, that jumps out is, do I exercise my independence? And obviously, I ask you the same. Do you? And how do you exercise, live, and experience your independence? I'm not asking this rhetorically. I'm really asking, do we really live independently? Or do we just kind of wake up and jump in the river of life and just flow wherever it takes us? We don't really make choices. We don't really exercise independence. We just are reactive. Now, three things hit me. Number one, I take it for granted. It's so easy to get in a comfort zone. Now, what do I mean about comfort zone? I've done a lot of research on this over the years. I've talked to a lot of groups about it. And one of the things that's most limiting is we do get comfortable. We get comfortable in our lives and we do what's easy because we don't want to take risk. But think about it. How about we all go back and do the third grade over again? That'd be easy, right? It would be comfortable, right? But we already know how to do everything that's in the third grade. That would be comfortable. It wouldn't challenge us. We wouldn't grow from it. We would just go in there and it would be so boring. It wouldn't challenge us. Are we doing that again? I mean, think about your life. Is each year stretching you to something new? Are you doing a new year next year than this year, or are you doing the same year over and over again 20 times in a row? And you really have to think about what I just said. I'm thinking about what I just said. If we're doing the same thing year after year after year, we're not progressing. We're just doing year 28 or year 34 the fifth time, the sixth time, the seventh time, the eighth time, because we're in a comfort zone. And when I talk to people about it, you know what they tell me? They say the biggest risk is not getting out of the comfort zone. They say the biggest risk is, what if they succeed? What if they strike off and do something away from the pack, away from the herd, and they succeed? They say the pressure is then they've got to keep it up. If they break away and start thinking independently, behaving independently, now they got to keep it up. They can't go back to what they were doing. People expect them to keep it up. And when you think about it, it's really a state of being free from the control, influence, or even relying on the support of other people. That's what independence is. You're free of influence. People aren't telling you what to do. You're making the choices. And that comes with pressure, right? That's not comfortable. You're making the choices. Somebody's not telling you what to do. Now, we can take that so far that we become isolated, withdrawn, narcissistic. We don't listen to anybody. But at a healthy level, it can be strength and it can be self-sufficiency. So think about it. What do you do that's independent? What do you do that truly takes this great gift we have in this country? Free speech, free choice. How much of that are you actually doing? You have it available, but are you actually doing it? Or are you playing it safe all the time? Are the thought police keeping you from expressing yourself? I have some research in my book. We've got issues that says people today are 75% more likely to censor themselves than they were in 1950. Think about that. We won't say what we think because we're afraid of the thought police. They're going to get after us. We're going to get canceled. We're going to get criticized. Can we really point to ways where we live in a fashion that's free of control, free of influence, stand on our own 2 feet, and don't pathologically get lazy, and rely on other people to do things for us. Now, I said pathologically. It's healthy that we rely on other people, that we share things and we support each other. But we can get so lazy that we don't do for ourselves. I spent a lot of time in rehab in my career, in helping people in rehab. And I don't mean just drug rehab. I mean people that have had to relearn how to walk, how to use their brain, how to talk, how to do activities of daily living. And one of the rules I always had was I had to require the patients to do 100% of what they could do for themselves. If I could walk over and flip a switch for them in 10 seconds, and it took them 3 minutes to ambulate over there and turn it on, I had to require them to take the 3 minutes to do it. And people would say, that's so cruel. No, it's not cruel. Because tomorrow they might do it in 2:45, and the next day 2:30. And before you know it, they were doing it in 10 seconds. They had to retrain, they had to learn, they had to become independent. Are you, for example, financially independent, or are you a slave to credit card debt? How about your house? Are you house poor? And have you gotten in a comfort zone just saying that's just how people live? Is it? Or have you just succumbed to that? I talk a lot about being who you are on purpose. That's real independence. When you think back to our country's fight for independence, there were people 250 years ago who were willing to fight and die for the right to self-determination. You're probably thinking, no, do your math. 1776, not until next year. That's when it was 250 years. No. That was when we signed the Declaration of Independence. It was 250 years ago they were fighting for it. Is there anything in your life today that you would be willing to fight and die for? Maybe your family, your children. And let's get less dramatic. Maybe you'd fight and die for your family. But what else are you willing to stand up for? What does independence mean to us in this day and time? I'm not just talking here. I'm really asking you questions I want you to think about. What are we willing to stand up for? I think old sayings get to be old sayings for a reason. One of them is, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Are we at that point? Have we become so ideologically lazy, so devoid of independent thought, or in other words, critical thinking, that we'll fall for anything? Doesn't it kind of seem like that? One of the definitions I talked about early on was independence meant being free of influence of others. Can we really be free and independent if we have people just making stuff up and coming and selling it with no basis in fact, no scientific underpinning, no verification or ratification, just tell a story? Have we become so lazy of thought that we have voluntarily surrendered our independence? Like right now, I don't want you to let me to convince you that that's correct. I just want you to think about it. And there's a big reason why. As parents, you are the most powerful role model in your children's lives. You're showing them how to think, how to live, how to evaluate. And there's another old saying describing someone that was pretty savvy. And the quote would say, he ain't taking any wooden nickels. Or as my grandmother used to say, tricking that old boy would be like trying to smuggle sunrise past a rooster. Well, how about you? What kind of rooster are you? I bet you didn't expect to get asked that question today. But if I made you think, then I've done my job. And I've certainly made myself think. So I guess I've done a job on myself. Have a happy 4th of July. Let's celebrate our independence by actually embracing it and living it in our own corner of the world. How great would it be to make that the real story? And if you want to hear the real story every day, make sure to follow and subscribe so you don't ever miss an episode. Where else do you get asked what kind of rooster you are? I'll see you next time. War in Iran is rattling global markets. Oil's surging, inflation looms, and economic uncertainty threatens your savings. If Iran blocks the Strait of Hormuz, prices could soar and your money could lose value fast. So don't wait and hope. I trust Preserve Gold to help protect my wealth, and it's the only precious metals firm I recommend to family, friends, and you. Their integrity and expertise give me peace of mind. Secure what you've earned now with a partner you can trust. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 to get your free precious metals guide from Preserve Gold. Gold prices are already breaking records, and with analysts predicting more gains ahead, you cannot afford to wait. As a bonus, you can get up to $15,000 in free silver with a qualified purchase. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 now before the next shock hits.